Hey guys, welcome again to Danny the Programmer. At this point, we have covered quite a lot of the fundamentals, and now I want to just briefly or fastly look into something known as the CSS Box Model. So it's very important for you to actually get the concept behind it. So now, at this point, we have looked over HTML elements, and you already know that with the help of CSS selectors, for example, selecting by type, right, you're able to change maybe the style of or a particular element like the anchor element and stuff, and so on and so forth. And that now CSS has like different like specific ways in which element like you can actually refer to different parts of an element. You can refer using the ID or class and all that. So because each of these things, it can help you interact like from one page to another, but now it varies to different boxes. Now that's where it comes down to like the different elements on a page, the way they interact, it's like from one box to another. So that's where the concept of CSS box model comes into place. So now basically what you have been writing, let's say for instance in this full me.html, you have like the content, like all these text, or basically like this information you have here. Those are these are basically different content. So now you cannot basically build your application to have just content. It has to have a particular layout and have some kind of particular space. So now, for instance, if you look at this view to these dishes, I don't really like it because you see the text are actually coagulated within this. So now there's what they call padding. If you look at this, right, you see this padding actually gives like it gives space for the content, like it gets the content, like the content box. So basically you have like this view to these dishes that you see here, right? It does not actually give like a feeling. So now let's see how, if we want to actually beautify that page to make it actually look better, what we can try to do, where the padding, I said the padding actually gives like a space around the document. Okay, let's see, give it the padding of maybe 12 pixels. You see now the space around this document has actually increased. Okay, it actually gives that button or a feeling like it actually looks better that way. Okay, like if you see here, the padding has increased by 12 pixels, and once you remove that padding, you see it goes back to the way it was. So it's very important, and the padding is part of this box model that you see on this top right here, like top, bottom, left and right of 12 pixels. Now there's another thing. After you leave the padding, you see the next thing is like the border. Like the border, like for instance, if you check here, you discover it does not actually have any border. Okay, now we can basically have at the border, but now something related to border that we're actually looking to was border radius. But now the border radius gives like the rounded corners that you actually see. Okay, so for us to be able to add the border, to actually see how the border actually works in place. Okay, now we can just decide here for our border element. Now our border, it depends on what we want to do. I'll just decide to give it width of 1 pixel. The first property within the border, what this 1 pixel actually, it talks about the width of the whole element. Okay, then the next thing now gives the type of border. Okay, let's say the type of border is solid, and the next property is basically the color, which you can use that. I just use the same color that we basically use always. So now let's see how that actually looks like. All right, if you look very well, you see the border of like the border of one pixel. Now let me just change the color for so you actually see how the border looks like. Okay, let's see the border. All right. Let's change the color of the border. Let's give it yellow. Okay, if you look very well, you see the border. All right, if you look very well, you see the border is actually yellow. Let's change it to, let's say, 15 pixels, so you actually see that clearly. So you see this is a border here of 15 pixels. So that's another very important thing for the CSS box model. Okay, it gives like 14 all around. So aside that, we have again the margin. The margin property, we have actually used it before. Like if you see there is no space between this top and this bottom, okay, that's basically like the margin. The margin just acts like a space between like where the element is needed. Like assuming there's no space between this paragraph and this next H1, like this between this H1 element and this next paragraph, you can use the margin property to actually create that space between the element. So now I want us to let's use this so I've understood that for the border. So between our paragraph and this, I want us to increase the okay, our H1 of a font size of this. I want us to see how the margin property actually operates here. Can give it the margin of 12 pixels. So now you see there's a gap, like the margin here has actually increased. The margin between this and this has actually increased. You see a margin of 12 pixels. The margin is not there. You see you see the difference, right? It's very, very important. It gives your page a particular structure. Okay, but now basically we don't actually really need it. So for it to actually be like, it should be like, for it to usually be really good, you can add, like, can reset it to 0. So you see the difference. It makes it better that way. So it's on its root position actually. So that's how the margin operates. It just gives like space between a top element and another. So now I want us to actually give this a better look, because like between here and here, I don't really like the way this is actually looking. So what we can do is, we can, since we actually understand how padding works, we're going to actually increase the padding of this. Okay, I think we have the padding of 12 pixels to top 12 pixel bottom. Now we can increase it for left and right. So basically what I do is I just give it like 2 times of what I actually have. 12 pixel, 48 pixel. It depends on you. Alright, so that's for the full mail page. So depending on the way you actually want it to look, you can increase the number of padding as you want. So now it's I feel like this is actually a better look, in a way that we can actually better understand. Now another thing I don't really like about the structure is, I really like us to center all these elements that we have. But now for us to be able to center it, we know this is an unordered list. Okay, now there's a trick I want us to really look at. Like, to center it all together, you basically have to have like a large container. So all these other lists, I'm going to put in a large container, maybe a large width of maybe that's going to contain all this. So let's see how we do that. Now within our ordered list, I'm going to give it a width of, let's say, something as large as 500 pixels. So now, but now you discover that it's not it's not really centered, because our goal is actually to center it. All right, let's see what's actually happening here. And you have other user agent style sheets here that have just been generated there, which are not actually written by you. So yeah. All right, next thing we can do for our unordered list, since we have given it an this thing can increase the margin of or just increase the margin of 36 pixel. What can mostly I usually give it a 0, like top bottom of 0, then I add another auto which is going to finally center it completely. Okay, I think this looks better. But now I feel like it's missing some kind of padding here. Okay, you can, so I think from the bottom, yeah, it's okay, and the left is okay. So I think I can give it here. Let's see. Now we have no padding. So basically, maybe once you use the auto element here, this auto 0 is for the bottom and this auto is for the left side. That's like most of the times this auto element just calculates it, like it calculates the page and actually automatically centers it. Now for our listing, we have a border radius of 6 pixel and margin. I think I can add margin of, okay, like just add a padding to make this actually look better. Okay, so basically that's just how I just wanted to introduce you to how CSS box model work, and we're going to be using this over and over. So you should actually take time to actually understand the principle of padding, border, margin, and basically the content that is present on your page. So it's very important for you to notify that and actually use that practically. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next. Bye bye.